Held in January each year, the Houston Half Marathon is the first elite 13.1-mile race on the global distance running calendar. And top talent from around the world converges to vie for record-smashing times, an ample prize purse, and to set the tone for their competitive season. Despite the thousands of miles they put annually in training, the world's fastest distance runners race sparingly. The toll an all-out marathon or half-marathon places on the body is something you can only subject yourself to a handful of times each year. With so few opportunities to demonstrate hard-won fitness, build a legacy, or settle a score, preparation for every race must be approached with a certain reckless abandon. That's certainly the case for two of America's finest distance runners, Joe Klecker and Connor Mantz. Joe Klecker trains in the shadows of the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by the raw, unfiltered beauty of Boulder, Colorado. A man of quiet determination, he's part of a powerhouse On Athletics team, a team that thrives on precision and discipline. Every interval, every recovery run, every long slog through the thin mountain air is meticulously formulated, then overseen by coach Dathan Ritzenhein. Ritzenhein's style, and by extension Klecker's, is methodical. Fitness is chiseled away at one grueling workout at a time. For Joe, in this rugged yet pristine environment, it's not just about competing, it's about establishing his place as one of the best. 500 miles away, in just as striking Provo, Connor Mantz is carving his own path through the Utah Valley. Working with fellow Brigham Young University alums and a close-knit group of high-altitude hardened warriors, Metz, as evinced by his pugilistic running form, is the quintessential fighter. Throughout his time dominating the NCAA circuit, and now during his decorated professional career, Mantz's unrelenting intensity has been reined in, steered by famed coach Ed Eyestone. Mantz's approach is raw, fueled by a blend of natural talent and an insatiable hunger to win. Every run is a battle, every mile a testament to his unwavering resolve. As the clock ticks closer to race day, Klecker and Mantz prepare, separately yet inevitably intertwined.
My focus is to go and win.
They'll toe the same line in Houston, eyeing a similar outcome, each carrying the weight of their respective journeys.
There's a part of me that just enjoys pushing whatever limits I have.
For Klecker, it's about executing a plan, about believing that perfection in preparation assures greatness on race day. For Mantz, it's about unleashing the fire, about showing the world that relentless passion is its own kind of strategy. This is the road to Houston.
The workout you guys are going to do is on Sunday, right?
Tomorrow we have the 200s. Sunday we have a hard workout. Thursday the 200s. So it's like 4 workouts in a row there.
Joe Klecker seemed almost destined to become one of the best distance runners in the U.S. Born to Olympian parents, from the Minnesota prep scene to the NCAA to the professional ranks, Klecker has flourished at every step of his journey. One could easily assume that with a pedigree like that, elite distance running comes easy to Klecker.
When did you first meet Joe, and can you recall what that first meeting that you had with him was like?
First time I met Joe, we had talked on the phone when we were starting the team for our recruiting purposes, and man, he didn't get much out of him. It was, I actually really didn't think that he was going to join the team from that conversation, but so he agreed. I took the job here, and I flew here in probably May of 2020. I remember him doing a 20-miler on a lot of the same roads that we do now, and yeah, it was just exciting. You know, like first time meeting the guy. It's like nearly 5 years ago now at this point, but he's really like the kind of guy that he showed up, brought the bike. He wanted to get it done. I mean, that's just how Joe is. He's a grinder, you know.
Not only will this be his first race back in nearly 8 months, the Houston Half Marathon will be his debut at the distance.
Right now is kind of just the tail end of track. I think I still have stuff I want to do on the track, but we need to start that transition. I think that just to go straight from the track to the marathon would be a bit tough. And so kind of as I've moved up, I've found more success, like from the 5K to the 10K, and just seeing a lot of people I race do really well in the 10K. So I'm kind of excited just to now like see what I can do.
I hope Joe's the one that hits it out of the park the first time. But no matter what, I look at it and we say, you know, in 2028, well, we have maybe 6 real opportunities to be as best as we can by then. And that's not many chances. You got to do it all in practice. You got to be all in. And so that's where we're at with Joe now. We say, you've done more on the track than most people ever thought you would, but let's go all in on this thing now.
Meanwhile, in Provo, Utah, Connor Mantz is looking to get a taste of race pace. After taking some time off after the New York City Marathon, Mantz is back into the full swing of training. And on tap for today, a 9-mile warm-up, followed by 4 repeat miles on the track.
I don't know what to expect today. I enjoy racing. I think like training's great, and I probably enjoy training more than a lot more runners do. And it doesn't even matter the distance, like whatever distance I'm running, it's fun. Like the 1500's fun, the 5K's fun. 10K on the track is the only event I would say like is not very fun. But every other event I really enjoy. Coach said 3.
Well, let's do 4 for you.
Meet Connor Mantz's coach, Ed Eyestone, the BYU men's track and field head coach and Olympian in his own right.
He was a lot like he is now. Back then, he was smaller than the other guys, obviously, because he was an underclassman for one, but very tenacious. At least one of the races that I watched him run and he collapsed in. Can't coach that. You can't coach that when you see that kind of heart in somebody.
So I think I'm very early in my career. I have, I don't know, kind of this thought that, you know, I want to compete really well for the next 4 years, 8 years, but I really want to make it like to 12 years, I think. But in the 2036 Olympics, I'll be 39, and a lot of marathoners have done really well in their late 30s, early 40s, and I think right now I'm just trying to do anything I can to just build a little bit every year so that when I am, you know, in my older years, in my peaking years, I can do really well.
Good. 4-7.
Arriving at Brigham Young University as a standout high school recruit, Mantz exceeded even the loftiest hopes placed on him, claiming back-to-back NCAA cross-country championship titles in 2020 and 2021. He wasn't merely winning races, he was redefining how they were run.
Yeah, that's 4:17.
Right over there, like 250 to go, something like start hurting my foot. You could.
Like, oh, this feels pretty easy. I could do this for 2 miles right now, like just holding it, but I don't know what happened.
So that's excellent. Good.
A little disappointed by it.
Let's take it easy. Yeah. Listen to your body.
No matter who you are, at this level, greatness never comes easily. Ultimately, Klecker's career will be defined by his perseverance. His Olympic debut in Tokyo wasn't just a race. It was his first intoxicating taste of a dream becoming actualized, becoming a regular presence, a real player on the international scene.
You know, for us, the first 4 years, really, Joe was like trying to get him to compete, but also to know like what the balance is. And he had a really successful first 4 years, very healthy, but hit the first major roadblock, and it was a significant injury. So
that dream would soon be derailed by a severely torn adductor, preventing Klecker from competing at the 2024 U.S. Olympic trials.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely my biggest injury, and kind of the first injury that almost like at times you question whether you'd ever come back to be 100% from, just because it was such a long period of time of being out. I think the decision not to race the trials was a little bit of a easier than if I was from like another country, because I know how hard it is to be top 3 at the trials, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to do the work needed.
I think he knows what it takes to balance that kind of training load. He's only getting older, but he still wants to do more. He wants to race all the time. He wants to, you know, like that Joe-ness is still there, you know, like the guy who really wants to always push. So now it's like finding the nuances of the marathon, I think, are important, because the guy has the competitive fire.
After months of rehab and time off, Klecker has been on the slow but steady march back to fitness. His return to racing and his chance to make an unmissable statement in his first attempt at the distance. This week, Joe Kleckers happens to fall on a day with 30-mile-per-hour winds, conditions that might push some pros to the treadmill, but not Klecker.
Yeah, today's was super windy, so it was a bit hard. I would say that normally, though, like the long runs are just about kind of 20 miles of sustained, like kind of 6 out of 10 effort. Today was a little hard with the wind because you were just kind of fighting the elements.
Today was probably a good metaphor for the marathon. Sometimes it sucks and you got to stay in it, you know, like, and that's what it was. Today was a grind. We had people who they felt the conditions, they felt the accumulation of training. I mean, Joe's at, I think, 113 miles last week. Really just kind of in the mix of it, the hardest part of the training. Yeah, it was one of those days where, man, everybody wanted to be done. You can always pull the plug. You're the one in charge. You're the master always, but like, can you overcome it? Can you talk yourself out of it? Can you keep going? And the marathon just, it's so much longer.
I think the biggest difference with this build is getting used to just pushing for a long period of time. It's not just like linear. The pain and the hurt you're going through, a lot of times it kind of comes and goes. And so usually if you can like push through a certain point of pain or doubt, you can muster something up and find some more momentum. It's not just worse the whole way. Going into this build and like going to the half marathon, it's something that I really want to go for. But the biggest thing for me has been in training. It's been like when the Olympics are out of the question for me, kind of having like a big goal to go after. Like the Olympics is a huge goal to qualify. With my next race being a half marathon, I was like, you know, let's shoot for the stars. Let's put the American record. Let's see how fit we can get, and see come January, 19th, if that's a possibility to go after.
How far are you? 2 miles, all right, yay.
It is true. Wait, what house is it?
What? Yeah, go for it. Be a marathoner. Be a marathoner. You be a half marathoner.
And the nice thing is Dathan's run 60 flat 1 or 2 times, and so he has an idea of what it takes to be in that fitness, and that's been really nice because I have no clue. I've never run a half, and I know what it takes to be in a good 5K shape or a good 10K shape, but I really think a half marathon is different, and I've seen that in the training that we've done.
The transition to the professional circuit is where he cemented himself as one of the few must-watch American athletes in the scene today. The longer distances afforded by road racing have proven to be the perfect vessel for him to pour in his unyielding spirit. In his 2024 season, Mantz solidified his reign over his U.S. competitors, finishing as top American at the Olympic trials, the Paris Olympics, and the New York City Marathon.
And so I think 2024 was a very eye-opening year, because now I'm not thinking, oh, what do I need to do to be a good American or place well, but it's like, what do I need to do to win?
Mantz doesn't do this alone. He's surrounded by a close-knit community, and training partners fuel him and his ambitions. Being one of the world's best marathoners isn't just about putting in the miles. It also requires 2 to 3 days a week in the gym.
The workout went well today. I don't think it was anything special by any means, but it was a nice one where I got to get a little bit extra turnover in. I feel that I get to a point where I know it's going to be hard, and I kind of enjoy that. I enjoy pushing workouts, and Coach Eisner reins me back a lot. It's rare that I get to a workout and I'm like, oh, this is really hard. I really feel like there's a part of me that just enjoys pushing whatever limits I have. And I feel like a lot of my training is reined back, so I don't do that until race day.
I would love that.
I mean, I don't know how fit I am right now, and I don't know if I'm going to be fit enough to even come close to the American record in the half, but I'm going to go for it either way. Like, if I blow up, it's fine. Like, what do I have to lose? I lose an opportunity, great, but there's going to be tons of opportunities in the future.
I think he has been able to take that ability to, you know, we would often kind of laugh and call it the Mantz zone, that pain chamber, the ability to tolerate more discomfort than his competitors. Other guys are willing to lead these races, but that's just, you know, some people are comfortable in the lead, and some people almost get more juice from being in the lead. So who am I to tell them you can't do that on occasion?
With 4 weeks to go until Houston, focus begins to sharpen. A symbol of grit and persistence, Klecker is here to prove that he's back and better than ever.
The biggest thing is I really enjoy the training for it, and the training for it has always been the most natural. And so I think looking at like the marathon, I feel like I can just really develop this training, and it's going to translate into the race.
I mean, almost always we see the people who are going to make it or not, it's going to happen between 30 and 35K. And if you're going to make it, it's still hard. Like, if you're hanging on, if you're not going to make it, I mean, it is like a humbling survival. So it's kind of like put your foot to the gas, stay on it, stay relaxed, and try not to crack. But you notice real fast if all of a sudden it shrinks. And if it shrinks, that's the time to go, man. Like, put some pressure on, especially in the half. It's like, I always found from 10K on, if people start to kind of pop off, it's just the time to squeeze a little bit. You know, it makes it hard. It's already fast. Yeah, you kind of got to lean on, like, just kind of lean into the pain a little bit.
The hard part is when you've like fallen off, and then it's really hard to find any positives or find that adrenaline you need to kind of get through those really painful moments. I like the focus he brings to the importance of running fast and being a good track runner and moving that to the marathon. I look at some of the people that he trained with, like Galen and Mo, and these were like amazing track runners, and then they became good marathoners. So Dathan knows what they were doing, and I think it's just a better way to be successful.
In Provo, Mantz looks to clear out his workout legs with a 20-mile run himself, still building mileage as he approaches 1 month until race day. For Connor Metz, the journey is far from over, because for those who dream of the summit, the climb never ends.
I'm really trying to visualize like hitting, you know, mid 430s, low 430s pace and feeling really smooth. If there is a pacer going out of the American record and weather is good, you know, I'm visualizing trying to go with moves and just be up front, and just have like good form up front. I feel like a half marathon is like, that's kind of a scary distance because it's pretty intense.
With each race, he's racing against the clock and against the weight of expectations, carving a path to greatness, one stride, one race at a time.
When a race gets really difficult, especially that distance of like half marathon to 10K, I just try and tell myself, like, get to this point, you know, get 1 more kilometer in or 1 more mile and just see how long you can stay with this pack. There's a lot of little mind games I can do, but a lot of it is, you know, 5 more minutes or 1 more minute or eventually I get to a point where I start feeling better and I get through whatever barrier I was going through, and then I start pushing. It gives me a lot of confidence heading into Houston, like, okay, like, I'm gonna compete. It doesn't matter how fast the first guy goes out, like, I'm gonna be with him. And if they go out too slow, like, I'm probably gonna be the one pushing the pace, just because that's what I want to do. I want to be competing now.
A lot of the marathon is just getting in there, getting in the pack, and just kind of going almost comatose for a little bit, you know, just being pulled along by that drift and getting in some easy miles, you know, early on, so that then you can be able to attack or respond or enter into that painful zone over the last 10K.
I don't think you can really see how fast people go when they make moves. I mean, it looks like we're all running, but, you know, the moment somebody starts running like 4 flat pace after running 5 flat pace, like, you see it, but it's very dramatic to the body. Like, do I go with this? Do I not? Or do I just be patient? I heard Joe Klecker's racing the Houston Half Marathon and going for the American record.
When you watch Connor Mantz race, what do you see?
When I watch Connor run, I can see a really tough competitor. The guy is I would call him like a scrapper. You know, like he's the kind of guy that no matter what, he's kind of like gonna go for it. And I love that about him.
I'd say the thing with Connor you can expect is, like, early in the race or earlier than you would think in the race, he's gonna really start pushing it. I think you saw that in New York this year. You've seen it in a lot of his races. He's obviously not gonna be predictable in Houston. He wants to try and catch me by surprise or catch the field by surprise to win. But I think we've raced so much since high school that we know each other as competitors pretty well.
Joe's pretty gutsy, and I think that's one of the reasons I want to be in this race. Like, Joe's not gonna go into a race and just sit back and just wait and wait. He's going to push the pace if he wants to run a fast time. And he's going to get on that train, you know, if there's a pacer, and he's just going to do it until he can't anymore. And that's something I really admire about Joe.
When I watch Joe Klecker race, I know if he's on the starting line, he's going to be a factor in any race that he's in. I don't know that Klecker's somebody that Mantz is going to want to have on his shoulder. So I think it's just going to come down to who has the better day.
He's ready to push at any time. He's not afraid to go for it going in. He's got some experience at this, and so, like, I'm gonna tell Joe, we'll watch Connor for sure. It's where he is in the pack, because he's gonna go with the players always.
First and foremost, like, my focus is to go and win. I've always done bad when I just put a time on the board and want to go for that. Even when I talked to Dathan about, like, going for the American record, he was like, let's go in there and try and win. And a lot of times in this race, it'll be the American record.
This is where the real work happens. Every session logged, every rep completed, every sacrifice made, it all builds toward one moment. But no matter how carefully curated every aspect of one's training, when the margins are this slim, every strained effort is a calculated risk. To the elite distance runner, each additional mile could push things over the edge. Looming heavy is the fear of losing by a second to a competitor who did press in that one key session.